I'm committed to supporting you and helping you with valuable content in relation to all of your property questions. There's a lot to cover. There always is, but with your support, we at Move IQ can absolutely make it happen. So if you do find the content valuable and useful, I'd be super grateful if you would hit the subscribe button and become part of our community, and we will absolutely carry on doing what we're doing. Anne-Marie, great to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for agreeing to join in. It's a really exciting topic, Build to Rent. There's lots going on, but I think consumer awareness needs heightening, and that's why I was really keen to talk to you. But before we get tucked into that, can you just tell me a bit about Love to Rent and how you got involved, why you got involved, and what it's all about?
Yeah, lovely to be here, and thank you for inviting me as well, Phil. But actually, going back to what you're saying about the heightening of awareness, that's the whole concept of why Love to Rent was actually established. So going back, 7 years ago, I've got another company that's a PR and marketing company, and a lot of clients were saying, can we market these BTR products? And I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So did some research, worked with the UKA and the BPF, and then realised that it is an amazing product that people aren't aware of. So set up the Love to Rent portal, and it's the first and leading digital platform that is exclusive for BTR, Build to Rent properties, just to raise awareness and for people to dispel the myths of, all that bad renting, and to showcase exactly what they were. You have got professionally managed homes, that there's security there. So that's what Love to Rent was set up for. And we go beyond just being a portal and marketing. What we really embrace is doing lots of social media and getting out messages about people who live in Build to Rent properties, what the benefits are, about the community, and everything else that kind of makes that holistic approach for the homes.
Let's talk about those benefits, because certainly the ones that I've looked around, I was super impressed. I mean, they weren't cheap, it was probably quite high end, but they talked a lot about establishing a community, which I was really interested in. But
that's the biggest thing, that the Build to Rent community is about creating neighbourhoods and kind of creating that relationship with your neighbours. So it makes it a really cohesive and sustainable development to live in. And you see that across on lots of different levels. So like you say, there's the very high-end luxury ones where you have your yoga classes, you could have dinner parties, social events. But you also see that on the lesser ones that haven't got all the amenities, but there is like social events to bring the neighbours together, and about working with the local community as well. So supporting local businesses and people who aren't actually living in the Build to Rent development, encouraging the community to work with them as well, and in joining in their kind of like events. So I think wellness, it's a completely different approach now. So it is about, well-being, mindfulness, and just making sure that people live in a really nice, sustainable manner now. So there are different levels all the way through. But I think what you find on Build to Rent is there's that kind of golden thread that runs through everything. So like you said, there are some amazing homes with very luxurious kind of amenities. And that suits some people, but other people potentially don't have, want that kind of style. But the golden thread that runs through all of them is that, they are quality built, they are kind of sustainable and environmentally. I mean, that's really key to a lot of people now when they're looking. They are professionally managed, and you've got security of tenure.
Yes, those two things for me, they would be the crucial ones. That there is somebody on site that's going to come and fix your plumbing when it breaks, and you're not going to be asked to leave in 2 years' time.
I think that's really the biggest thing that I've seen, especially for like people who are starting families. If you're in like the private sector, the private rental sector, and you establish and your children starting a school, and then for any reason your landlord comes along after 6 months and says, actually, I need to sell this property, you've got to try and stay in that catchment to keep that kind of that continuous kind of education for children. So I mean, that's massive for me, the security of it, and also being encouraged to decorate and have pets, which are other no-nos if you're going into the private sector. Again, it's about that encouragement of make it your home, because if you bought your home, you'd decorate it. And if you purchased a home, you'd have your pets. So it's about making it it is your home. And I think we're seeing a shift to that it's more of a lifestyle choice now. It's not just a temporary, I'll just rent for a little while until I can afford to do something else. I think people are just viewing it differently now as well.
So do you think there is a sort of shift in society's attitude then?
I genuinely do think, and that's what we're really trying to focus on, that we don't want it to always be seen almost as the lesser product that you have to rent because you haven't got any other option. And there might be that, there might be some cases of that, but there's also, we see a huge amount, and I see coming through our website, of people who are choosing that lifestyle. They want that fluidity, because long gone are the days where you kind of leave school, you have a job
and you
stay in the same, and you stay in the same kind of area. It's about that fluidity, that you can go from one place to another. If you change jobs, you can, if you're with a development, you can kind of go to the next one, and you haven't got to worry about selling or stamp duty or anything like that. So yeah, I think it's another option. And do you know what? It's not for everybody, but it's another option. And I think the more quality options we get for people, I think it is all good. So
is it predominantly sort of young professionals, or are there families? Are there retirees? Is it genuinely a problem mixed community like that? Tends to be.
It really, I mean, over the since we established Love to Rent in 2017, end of 2016, we've seen it change so much. So I think, as you said, when it first kind of came out, I think they promoted it as this luxurious hotel lifestyle living, and that potentially had a negative effect on people thinking, I don't earn enough money, so I can't actually look at that. But it has changed, and because of the emergence of the single family housing, which is amazing as well, to have suburban houses that are looked after and maintained and have that rental product, we're seeing lots more families. We're also seeing a huge amount of downsizers, and that could be for many reasons. I'm sure you get to an age, and if you've got the family home that's too big, and all your equity's in it, let's get the equity out and go and enjoy your life.
Okay.
Potentially, you either had to buy somewhere which might be smaller in a place that you didn't really want to live, or go into private sector, rental sector, where you haven't got the security. Whereas now you could have almost like a nice little bolt hole that's maintained. You kind of all the same lifestyle, because you can get the, with the technology and sustainability and the way it's all kind of designed now. And enjoy whatever you have made. So yeah, we're seeing downsizers. It could be that they're downsizing to free up money to give to their children to go and house. So it's kind of like suits everyone.
As you say, the more quality options we have, the better and the happier everyone will be. We have a massive housing shortage in this country. In fact, Savills recently released some research saying it needed £250 billion of investment to put right our housing shortage. Do you see build to rent as sort of filling some of that gap? I'm wondering how much is in the pipeline, how much are we expected to see, or how much is there, and how much is coming down the track?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're not building enough houses that we need. But yeah, I see build to rent as a significant player in there. And I think the more, like we say, the more choice there is for people to get on there. It actually, I've got some stats here that they surpassed a significant milestone of 100,000, just over 100,000 completed homes in BTR, which is...
There are now.
Yes, there are. And there's another further 53,000 that are under construction.
Right.
And then there's a further in the pipeline, currently standing at just under 113,000.
Okay.
So all in all, there's a total size of like 267,000 BTR properties either completed or coming through in planning station. So a real significant impact. And as we said, it's offering that longer term solution for people. And yeah, I think it's just growing.
I'm presuming they are concentrated in really urban areas, in the big cities.
No, you're seeing it's with the single family housing, you're seeing it coming into suburban areas as well now. And what you're finding is that the families are driving out there, and because of the professionally managed homes and location to green space, to schools and all that kind of healthcare, you actually, or we're seeing through the site, more people travelling further. So if they are working in a city, they're prepared to go a little bit further to have that kind of lifestyle as well. So yeah, growing everywhere. We've seen, I mean, like I said, where I live, I live out in Suffolk. There's properties around here. They're kind of like, it's not just in city centres anymore.
Good news. Good news.
Mm.
And is it a model that's being copied from other parts of the world? Is it done in America?
It's massive in America.
And has it been around for a long time?
It has been around for a huge amount of time. I think that's where it's kind of come from. And if you look at all the European countries, you know, renting is you know, that's what people, their choices are.
Yes.
So, America is got multifamily, a BTR. It is huge.
Well, one thing that sort of slightly troubles me is if people are committing to renting long term, what happens when they retire? Rents in the private sector have been increasing dramatically as landlords have been leaving and supply has been tightening. I wonder what happens when those people retire. They get to 60, 65 and they haven't got the income.
So when we was first looking at setting up Love to Rent, that was kind of my concern, because when you think about rent or people buying houses, I think they're, like you say, it's for security and then retirement. So you've kind of got them things. With the BTR model, the security element and the quality element are kind of covered, because you've got that security. As long as you're paying rent, you can stay there.
Yeah.
You always go back to everyone has a house, because that's going to be their pension fund at the end of the day. It's about how people look at it now. So it's almost like you invest somewhere else, take your investment. You know, it's not all going to be do a different kind of investment. And I think there are investment. I mean, what I'd like to do is have the option, which I'll never set up because I haven't got the time to do another business. But what would be really good to see is the companies who are building BTR to give people who live in them perhaps the option to add a bit more to their rent. And that additional rent goes back to them and they build more homes. So they're actually investing in property, but not in their own property. So then when they do retire, they can actually pull that back in. But no one's set that up yet.
Okay.
But I
like the thought process.
Yeah, so it's almost like, let's invest in property, but it's just you choose what you can pay into that kind of investment part.
Yeah.
So
and you're still exposed to the property market. You're still invested.
Yeah.
There are lots of providers of build-to-rent homes out there now, and I guess they're all targeting different ways and pricing in different ways, and that's part of the natural process. So there'll be good ones and bad ones. There'll be cheaper ones. There'll be more expensive ones. But do they all?
There's no bad ones.
I mean, there's bad football players and good football players. But,
no.
It's a really interesting model, and it's good to see that awareness is being driven and people are enjoying it. So just going back to Love to Rent, so that's a portal that specialises in build to rent properties, and you've got them all over the country, have you?
Yeah, it's nationwide. So we set it up because there are other portals and they do advertise them, but this is purely build to rent properties. So it gives confidence to anybody who's searching that anything that they're seeing has got that kind of golden thread. They're quality homes, they've been considered, the community's at the forefront, they've got professional management, and they've got security of tenure. Yeah. So anything on our site is purely that. But again, what I say is we do social media, we use all the organisations and the companies that are on there. We don't dilute their brands because, as you said, they've all created amazing brands and they've all got their own unique selling points for their different developments. So their brand isn't diluted. We market them as their brands. Okay. But it's about getting the messages out to customers, and that's what we're really focusing on. So within the year, we always do a Love to Rent week. And that is where we take over the press locally. So again, getting down to the community newspapers, just telling them, and doing case studies. So people who actually live in the property and getting that message out to the local press and national press. But we do a whole week of that, kind of just trying to change perception. And I think it's changed. I mean, when we first started, like I say, back in 2017, we did a survey just to ask, have you heard of build to rent? Yeah. And 59% had never heard of the term. Of the people who had heard the term, get this right, there was 36% of them could kind of tell us what it was, but didn't really. So we're just about to commission another one to see how that's changed. So we knew that there is a huge amount of work to do to change people's perceptions and just to get the message over. But I do see that changing. I really, really do. People do understand the difference now. And there are different.
It's a great option, and certainly the people that I've spoken to and met in some of these developments are really happy, and they do talk about the community, and they do know their neighbours, and they enjoy the shared space.
It's amazing. It is amazing, and I think having like the working from a lot of people are working from home nowadays, and if you are in your home or your apartment, just to have that breakout space where you can go down to the resident lounge or where you can just sit and meet somebody else, I think that's great for mental health and everything. So all elements are kind of considered. And Love to Rent also did the very first Build to Rent awards last year, and the reason we set them up was there's lots of property awards and there's always one kind of category that says the best Build to Rent development, but Build to Rent encompasses such a lot of stuff. So it's like, there is that the social awareness, and how you work with the community. So the categories cover all the elements that make up the development. It's not just is the building, it's about everybody else who works with it to make that lived experience a really, really nice experience for everybody.
Lived experience. Well, keep doing what you're doing. It's very much here to stay. I think it's got a great future. It's exciting. How many, give us the stat again, how many more expected in the pipeline? Another 100,000, was it?
Hold on, I knew that was going to be a question. So there is 53,000 in construction.
Yeah.
The future pipeline is at just under 113,000.
Okay.
And that's from Savills reports.
And there's 100,000 already up and running now.
So, yeah. So
well, best of luck. Keep doing what you're doing. Thanks so much. Good of you to come on. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Phil. Take care.